so I want to bring them up. So Sarah Melissa as Sharonda, hold up. Asha Davis, Bina. Charles Cornell, Arthur. Kim Waynes, Audrey. Cornell Walker as Laura. And Adipera Oduye as Olivia. And that was sort of the catalyst of me writing this. And so, as I was coming into my sexuality, I was trying to figure out how to be that. So I was figuring out I liked women, but I wasn't sure if that meant I needed to go buy some Timberlands and a do-rag, or like what exactly that meant. And so, I also want to bring to the stage Nikisa Cooper, the producer. Took me to my first lesbian club, and that opening song came on, the Kia song. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to hell. That's right, stop now. And so that was the inspiration for this film, my own coming out process. It's cathartic for me. And it's semi-autobiographical. I never experienced any physical violence, but my parents did try to have an intervention when I came out to them, and they didn't talk to me for like 5 years. But things have started to change, so I was really grateful. And we made this film hoping that, I can change my parents' mind, maybe it could change some other people's parents' minds. So, and Nikisa made this possible, and yeah, I wouldn't be here without her.
What a beautiful movie, first of all. And making visible the invisible, and making the victim not the victim, and talking about the family in the way that the family doesn't support the child. That is such a wonderful moment on the screen, the gestalt of it all. So I'd like each of you to talk about, particularly the actors, because it takes some courage to be in a kind of film like this. How did she get all of you to be in the film? And what did you, as director, think when you got this cast together?
Hi, everybody. Excuse my voice. How did she? I guess from the beginning, they were just a really open communication. She was when I got cast, she was very clear in saying that if you have any questions, anything you need to talk about, like, call me, email me, anything, like, bother me. And I did bother her. I did indeed bother her. And I said at the same time, like, if you want me to read anything, like, watch anything, you just give it to me and I will totally, like, inhale it. And we also had, like, homework assignments where we had to, like, go out in character, one to a lesbian bar, and they were like there, but like not there, like just watching us interact. And then we went to in character into like a straight environment, so we went to Dave and Buster's in Times Square, and dressed in our baggy clothes, and we got some looks, and she gave us money, played games, and had food, and so it was very interesting. So it was just very open, and it was challenging at times, but it was a very trusting and safe environment. Like I never for once felt like I'm gonna put myself out there and no one was gonna be able to like take care of me. I always felt I trusted her, I trusted everybody on the set, and most importantly, I trusted myself to know that that I could go there and I'm not gonna die or go crazy or anything like that. And yeah, so I hope that answers your question. Hello.
I felt like this project was very special, and the writing was so strong and specific, and she took care with the characters. I felt like with my character, I couldn't come with a stereotype, oh, bravado, this, no. No, all of that comes from a very soft, hurt place. You know, that, no, I'm gonna be who I am regardless. And if you wanna roll with me, that's cool. But she was very real to me, and what else? We had improvs on set that was spontaneous. So some things you see, that was in the moment, which was very beautiful. And everybody worked as a family in the cast. And I just love the universal story within this, the human story of just not knowing where you belong and just knowing how that hurts and knowing how freeing it is at the same time. So I don't know what question I just answered. It is what it is. It's the morning. But that's where I come from with it. That's it.
I read the script, you know, I had been looking for a while to do some dramatic work and, you know, not really finding a very receptive atmosphere for me to do that because, you know, I'm primarily known for doing comedy. And I'm so thankful to Dee and Nikisa that they were open to seeing me in this role of Audrey. And when I read the script, I just really, really responded to it in such a strong, emotional way. It was just so beautifully written. And I just felt like I really had a good understanding of this mother and of my daughter in that struggle. And, you know, I have a niece who's gay. And although her struggle is not the same as the struggle depicted in this movie, I know that she struggled with, you know, coming out and dealing with the whole aftermath of her coming out and everything. So you know, it's like I had to do this movie. I just felt like I had to do it. And there was a danger of this character being perceived as some kind of monster or some kind of villain. So I really, as an actress, had to work to find the vulnerability in her and the heart of a mother who, you know, not make it so much about the fact that my daughter is gay, but make it about my own perception as a failure, as a mother, as a woman whose marriage is on the rocks, who's losing her baby, whose daughter is not turning out to be what she wanted to be. So that's the place that I approached it from. And Dee just created such a warm, safe environment for us to explore and for us to be vulnerable and for us to go there. And it was just one of the most amazing experiences of my life.
Hello. I did the short when I was 17, and when we started out, I was still in high school and still trying to figure out who I am and what I want to do. So this theme of identity and that inner struggle between being who you are, being what's accepted by society, Dee was so open, and it's a little unnerving because she'll tell you anything, you know. It's just like I think I went a little too far too to ask about the dildo. It really happened. And so yeah. But yeah, it was a really great experience for me and a growing curve. So yeah.
My initial impression of Dee was when I walked into my first audition, and she just created, it was a warm atmosphere in the audition room. It was just her and Edie, and you know, you walk into a situation where a person has written this piece, and you see it, and you know it's personal as soon as you read it. But even though it was her piece, I went in there, she gave it to me as soon as I walked in the room, and made me feel like it was mine to do with what I wanted to. So immediately that just made me want to work with her. So then I had to get the job. So everything and got the job. But the thing I love about the character is he's dealing with something that would easily cause him to reject his daughter, but he doesn't. She wrote kind of an opposite situation where they're really close, but there's this thing that could rend them apart, but it doesn't. He just has to try to deal with it. He's uncomfortable with it, but he never abandons his daughter in that way. You know, he never rejects her. He just has trouble. So you don't get to see that much. So I wanted to play a character like that. And also being a black father, you don't get to see many black fathers of any type, but this was even as far away from any black father that I can think of that I'd ever seen. So it was great. And also for me personally, it was great to play a dad because I don't know my dad. So it was great in that way. And it just, you get to kind of exercise things and live out things that you would normally, which is what's great about it.
Hi, everybody. I was first introduced to the project when Dee invited me to the Sundance Institute, and I didn't know what to expect, and I wasn't sure what it would be like, but it was just incredible. It was like film camp. And everyone was there because they loved making films, and it was like a family. We would eat together, we'd screen movies together and talk about them, and I just thought, this is so awesome, we get to play, and I thought that would be it, and it was a great experience. And then I find out that we're going to shoot the film, and that I could actually be a part of it was just such a gift. And when I saw the short, I was bawling. And it's really hard for me to get lost into characters sometimes, and I can't believe that every time I see this film, I'm like, okay, look at the ceiling, you don't want your eyes to be puffy for pictures, like just okay, don't look at it, Lee Gay. I just feel it every time, and it's such a joy to be a part of, and every time I see it, I can't believe it. But yeah, it was a great experience, and I feel very, very blessed.
No, the producer too.
You really want to talk to me too? I've been working with Dee for, the past six years. This is like the fourth project that we've done together. She's an inspiration to me. Supporting all the talent on stage and our cast and crew is just amazing. I feel like my job is to make dreams come true, and they made it really easy for me.
How'd you get Spike Lee on board?
Actually, Dee should answer that.
So Spike was a professor of mine at NYU's grad film program, so he teaches the master class in directing. And so he would have weekly advisement sessions where you could sign up for an hour slot. So I'd sign up every single week for an hour to read the script. So he read draft after draft, and he was brutally honest. He's like, corny, too long, no. What does this mean? And so he would challenge me, and like one of the biggest things I learned in this whole process is like accepting criticism. And as much as people say art is subjective, it is, but if you get the same note 5 times, then you probably should look at it. And so he was great. He was great in that way, and then also in the editing process, we'd show him cuts, and he would look at it and give us feedback. So he was really a great mentor in that way. And so now that we're coming out of post-production and going to distribution, he's also been an advisor in terms of helping us to navigate the market and how to position ourselves. And so, and I also interned on his film Inside Man in 2005, and that's our first, we write the script, and I interned on his film When the Levees Broke. I was interning with the script supervisor, which is like the best place to be because you're right by the camera and you're getting to see how it's composing things and interacting with cast. So.
It's so clear to see why you love your cast, and it's so clear to see why your cast loves you.
This character feels like she doesn't fit in the gay world and she doesn't fit in the straight world, so she doesn't fit in any space. She's an in-between space, and so that's why I call it PARIAH, because that's what I felt like when I was coming out, and so that's what the main character kind of feels like.
This movie was very powerful. Have you started a plan for another script? I'd like to see the next one.
My next script is called Large Print. It's about a 50-something Mid-South insurance adjuster who's recently divorced and lately incontinent. And it's about her redefining what happiness looks like. So she can either choose to brood over the disappointments of the past or move forward to the future. So it's like a dark comedy. And then I'm also really excited about a television series that I wrote called The Ville. It's about my hometown of Nashville, Tennessee. It's a place that I hated growing up there. Like one of my first jobs was at Opryland, like working the games booth. So I would just like give away prizes because they played the same country music over and over again. But so it's a story about that, and so I'm excited about that. And the cast I know has some things lined up and things happen in their lives that they may want to talk about or not.
I don't know how to answer the question. I mean, the most recent, I'm moving out of my house to my own apartment, my first apartment. So I'm excited about that. I mean, hopefully I'd love to do more films. I'd love to do more films and more theater in New York. And yeah, that's it.
Hello again. I am going to be in a play that's going to be directed by the Associate Director of PARIAH on Broadway. PARIAH on Broadway, Nigel Smith, and it's called Seed, and that will be going up soon. And I'm the front singer of a band when I have my voice.
What's the band?
And they're called Divine Order, and it's R&B soul. So that's it.
A few things I'm working on. My husband and I have a series of children's books called Amy Hodgepodge, and it's about a multiracial fourth grader who's starting a new school after being homeschooled her entire life, and Penguin publishes it, and so we've been traveling the country promoting our book series. And also, I have a one-woman show called A Handsome Woman Retreats. And I've been traveling around doing that. And I just recently shot a comedy pilot that I hope to shop and sell in the very near future.
I'm doing the voice of a cartoon character in a cartoon called Speed Racer: The Next Generation on Nicktoons. And I just finished my first pilot as a writer, and I'm going to be shopping that around this season.
I'm available.
I gotta second that. I'm also available. I'm in LA trying to do my thing. I'm hoping for like a really cool cable funky show. Something funky. I want something funky.
We have time for like one more question, so we want to...
What are you working on? What are you working on?
Do some more movies.
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate, continuing to work with Dee. I've got a documentary that's in post-production called La Muñeca Fea de Vidal. It's about a group of elderly sex workers in Mexico City. These women are ages 60 to 95. They're amazing, and just telling their stories. So, telling stories, telling truth, that's what I'm going to keep doing.
Yeah, so the question was, how do we go from the short to the feature? And actually, PARIAH started out as a feature project. So it started out as this 140-page monster. It was awful. And then at the time, I was going to NYU, and I needed a thesis film to graduate. And so we took the first act of that and shot it as a short film in 2006. And then in 2007, we were working the short film around the festival circuit. And it got the attention of the Institute, and we were invited to the screenwriting lab, where we further refined and polished it. And then in 2008, we were invited back to the director's lab, where we were able to workshop some scenes. So it started as a feature. We shot the short to get some momentum going and to workshop some of the material. And then we were able to go back to the feature. And, we used to bemoan the fact that it took so long to make the movie, but thank God it took that long, because we all got better as artists and as craft people. So it's a good thing that it took so long to make it come back, because I think it's a better film now than if we had made it 4 years ago. So I think that was it.